and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. I'm your host, Rick the Bard, keep bringing you episode 180 here at the Tavern, presented by HeroTaku.com. Well, patrons, it's that time of year again. Yes, the current Sentai series is barely half over, and we're already talking about what the next Super Sentai series is going to be. But we actually have something to talk about. So within the last 24 hours, 24 hours from the time in which I'm recording this, it seems that Toei has filed for a copyright trademark on a name for what we assume will be the 41st Super Sentai series. Now, I will have a link in the description below with more information if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. But you know what? I'm about 90 to 95% sure this is going to be accurate. If we take a look at the track record, pretty much once we figured out the copyright information, it's been a safe bet that that's what the series is going to go ahead and be. Now keep in mind, this is all speculation. The only thing we know for certain is the name of the series, and we're just going to go based on that. So I'm going to tell you guys the name, tell you the speculation that's out there, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what I speculate and what I want. Isn't that fun? Okay, so the copyrighted name that Toei, has filed for is Uchu Sentai KyuuRanger. And that is the best pronunciation you're going to get out of me. So what does that mean exactly? Roughly translated, it is Space Task Force KyuuRanger. Yes, based on the kanji, and just based on a number of other factors, it does seem that the next Super Sentai series will be outer space themed. And for those of you who've been following my videos for a while, 30 episodes ago, exactly, back to episode 150, I talked about how Power Rangers and Super Sentai need to go back into space, and it looks like I'm getting my wish, folks, and I'm really happy about it. But let's go ahead and talk about it, because, again, the only fact we know is that's what's been copyrighted. Again, I'm about 90 to 95% sure that's where our series is going to be. And I want to talk about what people have been talking about thus far on the internet and kind of maybe clarify a few things that I've heard. And this may be in the link that I'm going to post down there, and you've probably heard this in other places. But again, I'm here to give you my opinion. So again, we know that the first kanji does mean space in reference to outer space. Now, what's interesting about the name is KyuuRanger. If you look at the katakana and so forth, it's the same katakana that you would use for the number 9 in Japanese. And that's kind of odd when you think about it. What some people are speculating out there is that Q could be in reference to the 9 planets in our solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I hope I got that in the right order. My science classes are paying off. Of course, the problem with that is that Pluto is no longer a planet and has not been a planet for several years. So maybe the Japanese still count it as a planet. Technically, Pluto is a dwarf planet, and I believe what's called the Kuiper Belt. I'll have to double check my science on that, but it's no longer a planet in the same way that Earth, Mars, and Jupiter are all planets. Then again, the way that Earth and Jupiter are classified against each other, they're two separate things in a lot of ways, but I digress. I'm getting too much into science. So people are speculating that's going to be based on the 9-planet system. Probably get Rangers based off of, again, these planets and their colors. I would imagine something not dissimilar to, say, Sailor Moon, when they had, Sailor Venus, Sailor Mercury, so forth and so forth. And I do believe there was a Sailor Pluto. I never watched the show. I don't know. So that's one thing that the people are talking about. And, of course, that could correlate into the fact that there could be 9 Rangers this season. We take a look at other seasons. Sometimes the names of the show will, inform us to how many Rangers there are, but sometimes it throws a curveball. Like Gosei Sentai Dairanger, which means 5-star Task Force Goseiger. or excuse me, Die Ranger. Oh my goodness, Gosei Sentai Die Ranger. That indicates that there are 5 Rangers in the series, but then again we get the 6th Ranger in the series, and then Tensu Sentai Gosei Go in the title. We start with 5, and I guess Gosei Knight doesn't count as Rangers, so I guess that works in some way. But again, based on this, there could be 9 Rangers, and you know what, folks? I'd be happy about that. I'd love to get 9 Rangers as long as they're all properly developed. The problem I have with KyuuRanger is that we had 6 decent Rangers, but I found the others to be far more interesting. Much the same way we have in Dino Charge right now. I find that the Albert and Prince Philip are far more interesting than, say, Riley or Chase. But again, I digress. We're talking about all this other stuff. Okay. So those are the main rumors that people are talking about based on the name of it. And again, that's all we have to go on. Planets, space, number of Rangers. And there's nothing more we can really gain from that. Now, what some people on Ranger Board and a couple of other places I've been going to are talking about is the fact that the next season most likely will have some sort of bigger collecting gimmick than what we've had in previous years. Basically, what I'm hearing is based on sales data for Zyuohger, Ninja, ToQger, and so forth, that a lot of the collectible items are not selling as well as people expected. But frankly, folks, after Ranger Keys, how do you expect anything else to really sell that well? So people are kind of speculating that we will go ahead and get some major collectibles within the next season, which I kind of hope and don't hope, but like I've said before, I think the collectible devices should be the Zords. That's exactly what we're getting with Zyuohger. That's what we had to an extent with ToQger. And I never did like the shurikens that we got in Ninja. But frankly, I would love for us to go back to, what they did with Go Buster, what they did with Die Ranger, have like 6 or 7 mecha and that's it. Ditch the auxiliary mecha, whatever, and stuff like that. But again, that's speculation on what's going to go ahead and happen. The only thing is, I just hope I'm able to go ahead and collect them all without incident. I'm still going to be here in the country, so easier for me, harder for you guys, but, take a look at one of my previous videos and you get my feelings on that. Okay, so that's really all I have to go ahead and report on what we do know and what the current speculation is. But here's what I want to talk about, folks. Because again, back in the Power Rangers and space, go back to space thing, I want to see fleets of starships. I want to see galactic politics. I want to see the Rangers traveling from planet to planet. Don't set the thing on Earth at all. Go into space. Have every episode on a different planet, on a different world, on star bases, and anomalies, and nebulas, and all that. Turn this into Star Trek Super Sentai, Star Trek KyuuRanger, whatever. I know I've talked about Star Trek a lot on this program, a lot in the early days, and I love it. I absolutely love Star Trek. I love Power Rangers more, don't get me wrong, but man, I would love to see these two combined together. Take the best aspects of Deep Space Nine, mix it in with Super Sentai, and you can have a classic series. Seriously, folks, you could really have a good series. Take something that's equal parts Dominion War, equal parts Obsidian Order plots, and just mash it together with the best of Super Sentai. That's the thing that I would love to go ahead and see. And I do hope that we get starships as Zords. That's what each Ranger has. They don't have some gimmicky starship, but a starship. Everyone has their own ship that can travel the speed of light, and then they can combine together in one giant spaceship. And actually, what I would love, and they still haven't done this. I've heard this rumor like years ago, and I really wish it would have happened at the time. But it just was never true. There was some rumor, and I believe it was for the Goseiger series, or maybe before that, where the speculation is that each Ranger had their own humanoid Zord, and that they were modular in a way that they would form like the Shogun Megazord, and whoever was in the center would be in control of the Megazord, and the Megazord would have a certain function based on that. So, for example, and this is just making off the top of my head, if the Blue Ranger's Zord was in the center, it would have like water powers, or if the Black Ranger's Zord was in the center, it would have, rock powers or whatever and stuff. Why haven't we had something like that? I would love to see it where each Ranger gets a Starship Zord that turns into a Megazord, and then a giant Megazord, all humanoid Megazords. That's what I would love to go ahead and see. And further, here's something else. Right after I'm going to bring this up with your little theory that people have been saying that in anniversary seasons or after anniversary seasons that we've been following a formula. After the anniversary, the next team will start out as a 3-member Ranger team. After KyuuRanger, we had Hurricaneer, which had 3 members. After Boatcanger, we had GekiRanger, which had 3 members. After GoKaiger, we had GoBuster, which had 3 members. I would not be surprised, and I actually hope, that the next Super Sentai will have 3 main Rangers to start with, red, blue, and yellow. And then as we go throughout the series, we will then get more Rangers up to 5, 6, 9, however many you want to go ahead and have. Although, frankly, I would love for them to stay with 3 Rangers the entire time, just to see what they can do with the character dynamics, secondary characters, and so forth. But yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see them as part of let's have this where it doesn't take place on Earth at all. That we have them go. Earth is involved in some way, but they go into space, and it is truly that Star Trek. That there's a galactic war thing going on. They got to go from planet to planet, fighting in some sort of war or stopping alien conquest. Heck, this is Super Sentai. Let's do something we haven't done. Let's set it into the distant future. Obviously, not as far as Time Ranger. Hell, we can go further than Time Ranger if we wanted. Where this is an Earth Federation of sorts. They're going through the stars and all that, but they're embroiled in some sort of galactic war, conquest by some evil threat. Maybe you want to tie this in. It's a faction that we've seen before. Maybe it is some sort of resurrected Zanyak Empire, or one of the previous villain factions that we've seen into the past. It could be any number of things. I would just love to see us go into outer space, go deep into space, to where no Sentai has ever gone before. There are so many possibilities that you have when you take your series into space. We've seen it with Power Rangers in Space. We saw it with Lost Galaxy. And frankly, as great as Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue was, you got to admit it took a step down in the epicness and the storytelling possibilities because we're back on Earth, militaristic theme, like very, very back to basics Power Rangers series. Again, it was great, but when you compare it to Power Rangers in Space and Lost Galaxy, which are these space epics, it's a completely different animal that you're dealing with. And of course, that now begs the question, what's going to happen with Power Rangers? Because here are a couple of things. First of all, it's a space series. Given what they do, we could totally make this a sequel to Power Rangers in Space. The current team with Power Rangers in production, some of them have worked on them. Chip Lin, Judd Lin, wrote for Power Rangers in Space, and I can totally see them maybe going back to that well, maybe not using the same characters, maybe doing something what they did with Dino Thunder and having Tommy come back, maybe have a character like Carlos or TJ or Cassie return to lead a new team of Space Rangers, basically. Again, we can tie this into the futures. Could be a sequel to SPD, where SPD actually goes into space. Or this could be its own series, whatever. We don't particularly know. I would love to see it actually tie in the continuity because, well, I think once you get to 25 years or so forth, that's what you should be doing. But here's something that people are really actually concerned about in terms of the adaptation of this series. So here's what we've been going on, because we've been skipping pretty much every other Sentai series since GoKaiger. We skipped Go Buster in favor of KyuuRanger. We skipped ToQger in favor of Ninja. And what some people are boiling it down to is basically this. Do we want spy toys or do we want dinosaur toys? Going for the dinosaurs. Do we want train toys or do we want ninja toys? Going for the ninja toys. Well, given how we're going to work this out, by the time this series comes out and by the time we actually get done with Power Rangers, Ninja Steel, Ninja Super Steel, whatever, we're going to have another choice on our hands. Animals or spaceships? And, that's got a lot of people in pause. Now, probably skipping Sentai series is something we're going to have to do another video on. I've talked about skipping Go Buster, how I didn't like that decision at the time. Frankly, I'm still not on board with the skipping ToQger thing, but whatever. Let's kind of see what they're going to do with it. I don't think they should skip it. I think they should go into Zoologer. They should make Power Rangers, Jungle Beasts 2, or whatever, and all that. Whatever you want to go ahead and call this next animal series. I don't think they're going to go ahead and skip it unless KyuuRanger is significantly better than Zoologer. Obviously, I think a lot of people are going to point to marketing as being a big thing in there, and like what toys they're selling, and whatever. But to me, I do think it's a quality show because, let's be honest, guys, KyuuRanger was a better quality show than ToQger was in many aspects. Though I do believe Go Buster, the first half was a lot better than KyuuRanger in general. That second half of Go Buster really kind of got to the standard Sentai formula, and that's when they were, I guess, panicking because of their ratings and whatnot. We're just going to have to see how this series turns out, and I hope it's good. Again, I hope it's I hope it's Star Trek meets Super Sentai meets Power Rangers, whatever. That's what I want to see in this franchise, because that's like the next place to go. That's the next thing for you to do that you really never tackled. Because again, Power Rangers in space actually took place in space. None of these Sentai series had the same type of going to distant planets and traveling the universe kind of thing that Power Rangers has had. Sure, Sentai have been in space, they've been to multiple planets, we have Flashman, that they've never had that where they've really gone into space and done this kind of stuff. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with it from a Japanese perspective. It's just going to be really exciting. Alright, so I've talked for almost 20 minutes, really about nothing, just my thoughts on it. Again, let's just kind of summarize. Space-themed, 41st Sentai, maybe 9 Rangers, maybe 9 planets, might have some sort of collecting gimmick, and I just want to see everybody with starships and megazords, and this is Power Rangers meets Star Trek. That's what I want to ultimately see out of this series. Well, those are my thoughts. That's what I'm hearing, and that's all I've got. So, what do you guys think? What do you want to see? What are your speculation on it? And do you want a space series? Is this something that you're happy to go ahead and have? Leave a comment below. Let me know. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys for listening. Have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.